Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild was one of the most anticipated games in Nintendo's long history, with the game first being shown off as early as 2014, but not being finished and eventually released until 2017. Fans were left in the dark for a good 4 or 5 years from originally hearing about the game, which was painstakingly rough to wait through. But thankfully for us fans, that won't be happening next time around. A few months back, we were finally given confirmation of the long-time speculated sequel to be in development to Breath of the Wild. News broke out about a Breath of the Wild sequel back in June of this year, and ever since that quick but astonishing reveal trailer, many content creators focused on the Zelda series have been theorizing, speculating, and making all sorts of amazing content surrounding the upcoming game. I am no different here. I've been doing my fair share of theories and speculation videos, with some of my and your favourites being the Things That Need to Return series if you like. And due to popular demand on the 5 Enemies That Need to Return video I did a while ago, I have put together a part 2 to that list, as judging from your guys' comments, I missed a lot of fan favourites. But I couldn't do this part 2 in any old fashion. So today, I am joined by fellow Zelda content creator Zeltik to cover 5 more enemies that need to and or should return in the Breath of the Wild sequel.
Number 5. Pose. Kicking off the list, we look to one of the series' most iconic enemies, the ghostly phantoms which haunt the lands of Hyrule, the Pose. These shadow spectres of the night can be found in a whopping 9 Zelda games, ranging from as early as the 3rd installment in the series A Link to the Past, all the way to games as recent as Twilight Princess, A Link Between Worlds, and Triforce Heroes. Despite their impressive attendance record in the series, it's fair to say that the Poe's most memorable and iconic appearances were in Ocarina of Time, Majora's Mask, and Twilight Princess. Poes appear as phantoms wearing a hooded robe with bright glowing eyes staring out from the darkness. They usually serve to provide collectibles in the form of Poe souls, which are similar to other collectible enemy rewards like Skulltula tokens. While they're not the most difficult enemies, they can still pose a threat. Locking onto one of the phantoms will result in it vanishing from sight, reappearing unpredictably around Link to attack. Some Poes are found with scythes, causing massive damage if they hit. While all Poes act and appear differently across the series, they all share similar traits and looks. And with the themes of death and reanimation in Breath of the Wild's sequel's reveal trailer, the Poes could fit well into the game. As we know, luminous stones are said to contain the souls of the dead, and the cave system shown in the reveal trailer is chocked full of the stuff. Reintroducing Poes to the Zelda series could be done in a very clever fashion if the developers did some sort of tie-in to the luminous stones and the souls they contain, as the Poes revolve around taking and holding on to souls. Regardless of how it's done, Poes would undoubtedly fit with the game, going off all the dark, sinister vibes presented in the reveal trailer. So for the opening number 5 spot, we have Poes.
Number 4. Igor. Completely contrasting to Pose, the Igor is a bright, bold, and in-your-face sort of enemy. A good way to describe them is by saying they are a Zelda enemy type enemy. I mean, just look at them. If that isolated target of an eye on a big towering beast doesn't scream Zelda enemy to you, then are you really a Zelda fan? Regardless, the Igor has appeared in 6 games in the series, and is typically more of a 2D enemy, but does make its one and only 3D appearance in Majora's Mask. I feel like the Igor needs to return to bring back some of the classic Zelda feels and vibes found back in the day. A lot of the enemies in Breath of the Wild were to some degree generic, basic, and very human-like. Overworld bosses aside, the regular enemies are all very one-on-one combat style enemies. The series pretty much killed off the traditional enemies, which in my opinion could have still worked in Breath of the Wild's world. Bringing back the Igor would give the sequel a very classic feel, nothing overbearing, but just giving us longtime fans a feel of what once was. I could totally see us just wandering around the woods, a cavern, or even better, a dungeon, only to walk into a room with an Igor towering over the hero Link, staring him down with its laser-struck eye, staring Link absolute daggers. Like I said, the Igor is a Zelda enemy of video game enemies, and would have absolutely no issues fitting in. So for my number 4 spot we have the Igor.
Number 3. Dead Hand. Now we're really getting into it. This blood-stained undead monstrosity can be found in only one game, Ocarina of Time. Dead Hand is the source of many nightmares throughout the late 90s and early 2000s, and with good reason. The terrifying beast appears in both the bottom of the well and the Shadow Temple, as well as Ganon's castle in Master Quest. Dead Hand acts as a mini-boss. Upon entering a room with one of these monsters, thick iron bars barricade the door behind you, trapping you inside. You'll see 6 slender arms shooting upright from the ground, which can't be too hard to deal with, right? Think again. Get too close and Link will be grabbed, held in place as Dead Hand rises from the ground and, horrifyingly, begins to move towards Link. Dead Hand is undoubtedly one of the scariest enemies in the series. This beast is covered in blood, and with what appears to be mangled stumps where his hands should be. The only way to beat this nightmare is by aiming for its head and avoiding its arms. Dead Hand is an absolute terror of an enemy, and would fit into Breath of the Wild sequel's darker theme. Considering the fact that we have a hint from IG Aonuma himself that the game could be even darker than Majora's Mask, having Dead Hands as overworld bosses or even main bosses would be incredibly fitting. So taking the number 3 spot is Dead Hand.
Number 2. Likes. Now, this is a comment I saw a lot on the first video. I had no idea likes were such a fan favourite, but in fairness, they do have a hefty appearance record in the series. These voracious jelly-like tubes have appeared in an astonishing 11 games in the Zelda series, ranging from the first ever Zelda game to the fan favourites of Ocarina of Time and Majora's Mask, to the DS Zelda games such as Phantom Hourglass and Spirit Tracks, and their most recent appearance coming in A Link Between Worlds, the last new game before the release of Breath of the Wild. Likes are a very easy and simple enemy to take on, but make up for that in their uniqueness and inconvenience. Whilst they are fairly easy to beat, if you did happen to get caught up with one, you'll be swallowed whole by their body-wide mouth, and they will literally attempt to eat you alive. Thankfully, Link is a born hero, and can get himself out of that messy and slimy situation without too much bother. Combine likes with the Igor and you have 2 proper classic Zelda enemies back into the series. Just imagine yourself venturing through Hyrule Field, and instead of a guardian bursting around the corner at you, a like pops out from beneath the ground and attempts to swallow you whole, with no one to hear your screams. So taking the number 2 spot is the odd looking likes. Before revealing the number 1 spot, here are a few honourable mentions. The Iron Knuckle found throughout multiple games, the Skulltulas in Ocarina of Time, Deku Babas from Twilight Princess, and one of my personal favourites, King Bublin from Twilight Princess, who was going to take the number 1 spot, but he kind of already has a story behind him in Twilight Princess, and I feel where it finished was a perfect end to his tale. Number 1. Dark Link. This may have been a bit of a curveball enemy to choose, but it's not impossible. Dark Link, or Shadow Link, whatever you want to call him, has technically appeared in 5 games in the series, with one of these being a cameo of sorts in Twilight Princess. But I think we can all agree here his most iconic appearance was in Ocarina of Time. Dark Link is the mini-boss to the Water Temple, and is by far more memorable than the actual boss Morpha, and maybe even the dungeon itself.
At first, the threat is invisible. Pacing across the eerily silent room, we notice our shadow no longer follows us. We turn around and head back to the entrance, only to see a mirror image of the hero, Link, standing and staring from the island, formed with a translucent black tint. Here is where the battle begins. Fighting Dark Link is quite literally a battle with yourself. The description Navi gives us even states, "Conquer yourself." Forget battles against monstrous demons and fire-breathing dragons. This is both mentally and physically taking on yourself. There's actually no real backstory or lore to Dark Link other than just knowing he's a dark reflection of Link, representing the darkness within the hero. Taking on your mirror image is definitely one of the most intense and difficult fights in the series, as it attempts to copy your every move.
Dark Link is consistently one of the biggest threats throughout the series, and hasn't been seen since Spirit Tracks back in 2009. Like a couple of the enemies on this list, seeing the return of Dark Link would fit the themes of the sequel perfectly. How amazing and epic would it be to be venturing the caves beneath Hyrule, or even a dungeon, and walk into a room, have the doors locked behind you, but all you can see in the room is a mirror, but with no reflection.
Then suddenly a shadow begins to build behind you. You turn around and to your horror, a mirror image of yourself shrouded in darkness stares you down, and the battle against the long-awaited return of Dark Link begins. This dark and gloomy sequel is probably the most perfect opportunity to bring back the Shadow Nemesis to the series. To go a step further, it would be amazing if we got some backstory and lore to Dark Link 2. So taking the #1 spot is Dark Link.
Thanks a ton for checking out the video. I really hope you enjoyed it, and if you did, be sure to drop a like and maybe even subscribe to see more Zelda content. A huge thank you goes to Zeltik for joining me on this one. I'm sure he needs no introduction, but just in case, he also makes a bunch of amazing Zelda content, and we also did another video over on his channel covering some of the most mysterious locations found in the Zelda series. Both that video and his channel will be linked below, or available in the card in the top right corner. Another huge thanks goes out to all of my amazing Patreon supporters. It truly means the world to me, and I can't thank you guys enough. Thank you so much. Again, I really hope you all enjoyed the video, and until the next time, I've been Hyrule Gamer.